Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Simming in Oz and this is my Hogwarts build. Today we are doing the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. So we're starting out with the general layout. I took inspiration from the movie and I wanted it to be very faithful to that. So what I did was I started out doing these columns, and a thing I do in a lot of my builds is I like to just mix it up dimension wise. Like, I don't love a perfectly square room without any personality. I like to get some columns in there. I like to add some sectioning and definitely some roofing features and just see where I land with everything. And it generally turns out looking pretty good, just because I feel like too much open space and you're shooting yourself in the foot. So I'm going through and I'm creating these very large columns all along the sides of the room. If you have a look in the movie, it does have something similar in that these very long wooden branching columns start at the side of the rooms and they actually branch up to the ceiling in a curved motion. I wanted to recreate that very much. For the canon of this Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom and teacher, I have made all the defense teachers at this point, and I'm in love with every single one of them, but I sort of had to decide, okay, if I was doing a timeline on who's living within this Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom and the office above, I have to sort of decide on who, because then that affects my decorating. I did decide to go with Lockhart because I felt like Umbridge was too stark, Moody didn't bring enough character to really have a design choice. And then, you know, Remus is Remus, but also I feel like Lockhart had the most effect on the surroundings of the Dark Arts classroom and the office above. So as you will see, the office itself, which I'm going to do a bit later in this video, has a lot of mirrors, it has a lot of portraiture and a lot of trophies, things that he's collected over the years. However he's done that, through nefarious means or otherwise, and he's just got lots of trophies that are dedicated to himself because obviously he's amazing and he wants to show off and everything. So typical narcissist, so his office is definitely in reflection of that. And then down here I've also got, there was something from the movie that I really wanted to replicate. It's the entryway from the classroom into the office above, and it's like this little walkway that goes up into this curved stairwell. Now obviously we don't have rounded staircases or circular staircases in any way, so it's just a ladder, I'm afraid, but I did try and make a little walkway up into that area where you can just sort of walk up there and then take the ladder and be in the office above. I think you might be wondering what is the massive pit at the end of that room. I also took inspiration from the movie there. I feel like there was some kind of down-looking feature, like a balcony feature in one of the classrooms at one point, and I just sort of wanted to replicate that, and I felt like I had a good opportunity here because within that little downstairs area in the defense classroom, it's actually the restricted section of the library, and I just sort of had a giggle to myself thinking, you know what? That restriction section is not that hard to get into. Let's just make it a bit easier. So any student who was really determined could just get on a broom in the defense classroom and just glide on down there. And I don't think anyone's given it that much thought. The security here is so lax, so we're just leaning into that. And you can see my pathway up into the office above is coming to fruition. I'm loving how it's turned out. I'm glad I was able to even slightly replicate what I was imagining from the movie. In terms of the decoration of the classroom, I decided I had enough space to really utilize how many students there were going to be attending this class. So I think I put in about 6 desks capable of holding 12 students, which is by far the biggest classroom I've done thus far. And then of course at the end of the room you have a bit of a stage area where the defense teacher can stand. Lockhart of course loves a stage, so we have that. I also wanted to include a wardrobe for a creature that you'll come out and be your worst fear and everything, but I didn't want that to be the showcase. So I do put it off to the side and have it featured, just so you can sort of tell what this room is actually meant to be. I think it's just one of those defining features. I still love that I've got Umbridge's office across the way from this classroom. I feel like anyone who has to come to Defense Against the Dark Arts has to sort of creep up the stairs and sneak past her, or she'll come out and yell at them or something. Not yell, she'd never yell, but she would teeter and everything, and she'd be just, in general, pretty awful. This is me. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do with that back corner. It was just sitting there, so I just sort of made it a faux storage area. In terms of what else I wanted to fit into this room, I just basically cluttered it up. I think I've got some, statues and everything, and I might put in some mannequins because assumably, if you've got the correct teacher, you are learning to defend against dark arts. So at some point, you're going to have like a training dummy or something. So that's definitely going in there. But this is just me trying to fill up the space, make it a bit more dynamic. And in that vein, I think I actually start building the staging area. The one thing I didn't do while I was doing this build was make a portrait of Lockhart and put it somewhere. I feel like he needs lots of portraits in this room, so I will go back and do a bit of a photo shoot and just show him off in every nook and cranny of this room and the office above, because if this is his classroom, then he has to be the star of the show. I've also been considering how I'm going to get the sages. So you have 3 sages. So obviously this is Magic HQ in the Sims magic realm, and there's obviously 3 sages that you can learn off of. I've been giving it some thought on what I want to happen there. And my idea is that I need to pick out 3 teachers that will embody practical, mischief, and mischief, practical, and chaos. There it is. And I need 3 teachers that embody those things. And I sort of just have to edit the current sages into these 3 teachers. So it can't just be an existing sim and I make them the sages. I don't know how to do that. That sounds very complicated. I'm not really willing to trust the sims to just pick who I want randomly. So I'm going to have to go in and edit them within CAS. Unfortunately, I didn't want to make it Snape, Minerva, or any of the defense teachers or Albus, just because I feel like I honestly want to play with those characters. And I know for a fact that once they become a sage, and if you add them to your household, I don't think they remain the sage. You get a new sage. So it has to be characters that you wouldn't normally want to play with. And I feel like Snape, Minerva, all of those people, you might want to play with them. So I have to pick someone that's relevant but also fits the role that you wouldn't want to play with. So I'm thinking Trelawney or who else? Flitwick, Sprout, any of the other basic teachers, maybe Horace Slughorn in there, and a few other people, but I will give that some thought. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm just sort of thinking about who embodies the most of each thing, but just someone you'd have fun learning from, which I think is a good idea. I'm doing the office upstairs. Loved how it turned out. I wanted to differentiate it from Albus's office and Minerva's office, and just sort of give it a very adventurous feel. So it's got trophies, it's got globes, it's got books, it's got swords on the walls, I think, and trophy cases. Just something I feel like Lockhart would decorate his office as, and the office would also be just generally that way. Here I am putting in all the mirrors so Lockhart can look at himself throughout the day and make sure he's looking his most stunning best. But it needed to be an office of someone who was experienced with fighting dark arts and travel and adventure. So tried to really embody that within the decorating. But really, that is it. There is something I do next, which I was quite excited about. I'd already basically done it, but I do a bit more decorating. I created a little jail cell. It was originally where Albus's office was, and then I moved it. So it's right outside the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, which I thought was really fitting. And this is where Sirius gets taken in prisoner of Azkaban. He's locked away, and Harry and Hermione come and save him. I needed to include, obviously, the dungeon, so the jail. But that's basically it. That's the defense classroom and the office and the jail. And I really loved how they turned out. And I hope you did too. So next I'm feeling I want to get onto the dormitories or the kitchens or something like that. We'll see what life takes me and see what I do next. But thank you so much for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope, as always, you are having a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.